as you keep growing, you're gonna keep breaking your system, and that's actually a very, very, very good thing. It's not gonna be broken unless it's a sign of growth.
This is Mitch, and welcome to the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I have Steve Liang on the line right now, and we're going to be talking about how to find deals and consummate deals and how to figure out if deals are good or bad. But first, I want to tell you, this episode is sponsored by taxfreefuture.com, and it explains and helps you learn the power of tax-deferred and even tax-free investing. You will not believe what your financial advisors are not telling you. Okay, Steve, now that we've got that out of the way, covered my bases here with taxfreefuture.com, I'd like to introduce you, Steve Liang, and would you tell us a little bit about who you are and where you come from and where are you sitting right now?
Yeah, sure. Hey, guys. Steve Liang. I'm with Real Estate IQ. We are the #1 in deal finding here in Texas. We find a lot of motivated and distressed sellers. We've been in the market for about 5 years now, and we are growing up and trying to take the market by storm. So that's why we're here. Thank you so much, Mitch, for inviting me to this podcast.
So you have a lead generation process in Texas that seems to be very prolific. How many motivated sellers are you potentially connecting with every day?
Yeah, on a monthly basis in Texas, we find over 35,000 distressed and motivated sellers.
Okay. Do you do this by county, or is it a subscription-based thing, or is it people sign up for counties, or how do they get these leads?
Yeah, we price it by territory, and it's a monthly subscription. So you get unlimited number of deals that we find in that county or metropolitan area, and we are believers of giving 10x value.
I like that. I like that it's that it's people can get their own region or area or county, because part of the problem out there right now is there's so much competition, and you have to figure out how to separate yourself from all that other competition. And those lead sources is just go out to everybody. It's really difficult to be the one guy that catches the fish. So I really like that it's exclusive. That's really cool. You also have a podcast, IQ Talk, and we can get you guys in the show notes here. You can write this down: reinvestorsummit.com/Liang, Liang. And in the show notes, there'll be all the links for this and maybe some free giveaways and maybe some trial offers or something. We always get something from the guests here that seem to help the listeners out a lot. So tell me, what city are you in personally?
I live in Dallas, Texas. I've been living here for almost 10 years now.
10 years? Are you the geek guy that sets all this up, or are you, and excuse the term, but I love geeks. Or are you also buying houses yourself?
We have made a decision to not purchase properties because we are providing all this data, and we want to eliminate any potential conflict of interest that people.
All right. That's a good point. Normally you want someone who's like doing it all, but in this case, if you were actually out buying houses yourself, you might be skimming all the good leads off the top. So you've taken yourself out of that, what do you call, conflict of interest, huh?
Yeah. I want to get out of that conception. So they know that everything that we do is for our clients, is for the benefit of our clients.
So one of the things I found interesting on your once a week show is that you're taking case studies. Well, actually it's once a day, right? You do a case study and dissect a deal once a day, and then you explain why that deal was a good deal or a bad deal, so that new investors can start to get a handle on how to analyze a deal and when to pull the trigger, right?
When to pull the trigger, what a good deal looks like, what are some of the ways, what are the key things you got to analyze and look at when you analyze a property, when you run comps. Comps is a very fundamental skill for any real estate investor, Mitch. If you don't know how much a house is worth and how much you can rent it out for, you can't figure out your exit strategy. So we want to give that to the market with the daily case study. We have a deal expert that uses our system and find a live deal it's a deal that you can act on right now. And we give you the address, we give you all the analysis and everything to really show you what a good deal look like. And these are, again, live deals that you can go and win right now.
Yeah, well, so not only do you have to be able to prove up the value of a property to know your exit strategy, but you also need to know that so you know what to offer so you can make a profit, right? So it's kind of twofold. I mean, it all starts with a good deal, and if you can't figure out how to make a good deal, then you're just guessing. And I think one of the biggest stumbling blocks for the new investor is they lack the confidence to really go pull the trigger. And in today's market, if you hesitate for even 15 or 20 minutes, sometimes those deals are gone like that, aren't they? Because the pros, like me and my friends in the office over there, we take seconds to pull a trigger. One of the biggest things that we learned to do, and tell me if you agree, is even if you're on the fence a little bit or you're not quite sure, you still get the contract and get it signed with either some due diligence days or something, but get the seller off the market. Get him signed up and get the sign out of the yard, or get the Craigslist ad stopped so that you can go analyze and then, buy yourself a couple of days. And then, if it's not what you thought, you have a legal and legitimate reason to back up. But, the biggest thing is get them off the market, right? I mean, get them off the market fast. If you think this is a good deal, don't go and do 3 hours worth of research get them off the market, and at least get yourself 3 hours before you got to say yes, and do your research right then and call them back and say, I'm all in it, or, wasn't really what I'm looking for. Maybe make a counter offer, but you got to get them off the market, because while you're out doing your due diligence and driving out there to look at the house, I mean, somebody else just did what I just said, and they got them off the market, and you're out there looking at something that's already contracted and you don't even know.
Yeah, and I would say, I can't agree with you more, Mitch. That's one of the main frustrations of a new real estate investor is we are spending all that time analyzing a deal, and by the time you're ready, somebody else already got to it. So we always say that speed gets you the key.
Yeah, what do they say? You can't steal houses in slow motion.
Yeah, that's
you got to be moving fast. I have a problem with that, though, with the word steal. That's kind of like something you'd say on the inside. I think that a lot of times these people that are selling these houses, they've had they pull an ostrich on us. They put their head in the sand so long that by the time they finally come to the conclusion that this foreclosure is really going to happen, or this whatever the time pressure is coming in on them, by the time they finally acknowledge that they're almost sunk, there's very little time. And so you really have to move fast a lot of times, just because the time constraints of the situation don't allow for any kind of hesitation, because it's very difficult to even close a house in 3 days. I've been known to close houses in 1 day. Like, I talked to them at 8 and I've got the title commitment and have closed it by the end of the day when it was really high pressure on. But that takes a certain relationship with your title company and a certain amount of expertise just to not know what you're doing. Because when you do start moving fast, that's also when mistakes are made. And when you get into some situations that you don't. I will tell you this, and this is beside the point, but I just had an interesting idea that I think people would like to hear. The 3 signs of a con. Okay? The first sign is the deal that they're bringing to you is over the top good for you, almost too good to be true, or too good to be true. Now, I hesitate on that because I've made a lot of deals in my life that were too good to be true. So you got to be real careful with that one, because we're in the too good to be true business. That's what we're in, that business. But that is one of the signs of a con. The second sign is they're always behind some angelic facade. I'm a pastor. I'm a Marine. I'm a first responder. I'm a, you know what I mean? It's one of those facades. Okay? And the very last one is extraordinary pressure to write a check or to close now. I need the money now. Like an immediate pressure to write the check. When you see those 3 things in a row, take a deep breath and start to figure out, am I dealing with a con? start searching the deed records of the names. So I had this one, you talk about analyzing deals or case studies. I had this one person that signed up to buy a house and didn't have to close for 30 days. And it was a very good deal. It was over the top deal. Mm-hmm. And this guy didn't, he was a policeman. He said he was a policeman. Okay? So that's that angelic, honorable, integrable facade. But 5 days after he signed the contract and he had 30 days to close, this man started putting exorbitant pressure on him to close by Friday, or he was going to call the deal off, or he was going to walk the contract, or all this stuff. And when my student talked to me about that, I said, you know what? I think this man, I just have a hunch that this man is trying to get a lot of people to close at different title companies on the same day. I said, I think you need to call some other title companies around and see if they have this property in their commitment list. And I was right. He had 4 people at 4 different title companies ready to close, and they all were going to close at between 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock, and that's what he was pushing to close by noon on Friday, or he was going to walk the deal. And we found him, and we busted him, and he's now probably, if he's not in prison right now, he's well on his way.
Oh, my goodness. Wow, what a story.
I'm telling you. You ask me how I know this stuff. I've been conned a couple of times, right? The one that got me was the policeman that had to close at the end of the day. He made one mistake. He signed his name and didn't quite spell the real owner's name. He was renting that house from a man, and he was not a policeman. But in all of his text messages to me and his phone calls was, well, I'm on duty, or, I got to pull my shift with the police department. And he was all talking about how he was a policeman. He wasn't a policeman at all. He even had a card that said he was a policeman.
Oh, wow.
It was very bad. He's in prison now, for sure. That happened several years ago. I don't know if he got out yet or not. They called, and the FBI met him at the title company and arrested him. So
for you, who you're dealing with.
So I didn't want to get off in left field or down a rabbit hole, but we're talking about case studies, right? There's a little case study for you.
Yeah, wow, what a story. And we love having these type of war stories, and have practitioners coming to our podcast to share these war stories. It's these kind of things that we all need to learn about, because we got to watch out for the worst.
Yeah, can you tell us about an interesting case study that you've done recently? Do you remember one, or one that's come down the pike here recently that was interesting?
You know what? I haven't been in the day-to-day for the deals right now, so let me think a little bit.
Well, don't hold this against Steve, because what Steve's showing you is that he's a real business owner, that he has people that do this stuff for him. And in fact, people ask me stuff all the time. They're like, what's the password to your so-and-so account? I go, I don't know. Well, you're on Facebook every day. I said, well, that's not really me. You know what I'm saying? Or I am the one on Facebook, but on other accounts, like, well, that's not really me. I got people that are helping me trying to make contact. So,
as to be successful in life, you got to figure out the best way to duplicate yourself as much as possible.
So, do you talk about systems a lot?
We talk about systems a lot. We do a lot of processes, structure, everything within our organization. I wish we have more processes and we have more systems, because we can run a lot faster.
It's a never-ending battle to keep putting one system block integrated with another system block. We're doing it in my office right now. We have a definite bottleneck. Our central administrators can't keep up with us, the amount of deals. My office in San Antonio bought 97 houses in 2018.
Nice.
We bought 16 houses in January, and we're just outrunning our infrastructure, Mm-hmm. And so we're actually really consulting with how to smooth that out. We think we have a handle on it, but whether the idea we have right now is the answer or not, we will get a handle on it soon, because we have to, or we can't grow. So we have to get a handle on it. And the hard part about that sometimes is you have to stop what you're doing and slow down and back up, and maybe not do so many deals for a month until you get your infrastructure straightened out so it can run like a rocket, But the hardest part is slowing down to fix what's broken. That's what my experience is. What is your experience with systems and trying to get them in place?
Yeah, I would say it's the same thing. Whatever. When you first start, you're trying to put some smaller systems in place because you don't have
a lot of resources. Don't have a lot of money.
Right, you don't have that much money either. So as you keep growing, you're gonna keep breaking your system, and that's actually a very, very, very good thing. It's not gonna be broken unless it's a sign of growth. So,
Yeah.
so when it's broken, now of course it's very stressful to hunker down. You're always dreaming and doing the next level big things, and when things start breaking, that's when you realize, oh man, we've been thinking too fast. We need to actually slow down and come back and fix this problem so we can keep moving. So I don't know about your experience, Mitch. We always see that every single time we grow, we hit a ceiling, and then we go, what is going on? And you start looking and start tweaking things, and you get over that hump, and then you hit another ceiling, and you keep hitting the ceilings.
Yeah, I hit ceilings a lot. You see this forehead right here? You see this forehead? It used to be a forehead. Now it's like a 7 or an 8 head, because I keep hitting those ceilings and rubbing all the hair off my head. But like you said, the good news is I'm growing, and if your system's not breaking down someplace, then you're just not really, you're not pushing. So I want everyone to go to reinvestorsummit.com/Liang, Liang, and do you have a giveaway or some kind of special offer for our listeners out there? I apologize if I'm springing this on you because I didn't ask you this before you got on. If you don't, maybe we can figure one out and you can add it later. But do you have one in mind right now?
Yeah, that's our case study. We have the daily deal case study, and you can sign up on Mitch's show notes.
Just go to reinvestorsummit.com/Liang, Liang, and he's going to get you hooked up where you can, for free, just watch these case studies, one a day, right? There's one a day. And if you are, haven't done a lot of deals, or you're not around people and watching them do a lot of deals, maybe this is where you can go get your education and daily critique a deal. And are all your deals good deals, or do you find deals that you go, this one's not worth it, we're throwing it away?
We also do that. It's all about all kinds of experience. You got to know what a good deal looks like, and what a bad deal looks like, and what a okay deal looks like. And sometimes you see something that looks like a deal, but the comps, you get one very good comp, and everything else is not very good. And so what are you going to do in that situation? There's a lot of judgment call there.
Yeah, I've been in situations where I thought the deal wasn't that good, but when I went over and looked at the house, there was an addition that wasn't put into the square footage of the house. So everyone's passing on this deal because when you plug in the per square footage price, it wasn't adding up. What people missed was they had added a whole nother room, or they'd put a mother-in-law suite in the back, and it wasn't hitting the tax records. And that's made for some of my best deals, where the information was just wrong on the county records, and those are the ones that are kind of like little gifts, you know what I mean? When you find one of those, like, wow, this is a gift. Everyone's passing on this deal because they think it's only 1,300 square feet when it's really like 1,800 square feet,
Yeah, Mitch, I think you got a really good point, and that's something that a lot of advanced investors will always think about, is the potential of adding addition in the house. If you can increase the square footage, you can turn a deal that a lot of people are overlooking, and it's actually a really good deal if you
yeah. Some houses are configured, like if some houses are built like the front doors here, and it's built in a square C, where all you have to do is close in a back wall and add a roof, and you got a whole nother set of square footage. That's called, I think I heard someone call it, and I really like the term, forced appreciation. So what they do is they find out that there's this really easy way to add another 600 or 800 square feet to this house just because of the way the house is, and maybe even add another bathroom because of the way the house is. And then you go check and you say, well, these houses in this neighborhood is selling for 200 square foot, and then you can build that, you can put that addition on for $100 a square foot. You're forcing $100 a square foot appreciation. So I really like that term, forced appreciation, where you just go in, and other people have done it by popping the lid on the house and going up in areas where A, it's allowed, and B, where the dirt's so expensive that it doesn't make any sense to buy a lot and build a house, but it might make sense to pop the lid and take it up. Especially in Austin, there's a guy out there. He's they're allowing people to build mother-in-law suites in the backyard. So they're looking for houses that have enough room to put in I think it's a 600 or 800 square feet is the max you can do, but they find a house that has a backyard that will allow that kind of addition, and then they build it for X and they sell it for 2 or 2.5 or 3X. You know what I mean? The remodel. So these are really kind of advanced thoughts, but you got to collect as many tools as you can in your toolbox, right?
You got to have all those tricks up your sleeves. And Mitch, another thing that a lot of our experienced investors, clients, that what they do is they also look for garage conversion opportunities. There are, if in the area, there's a lot of houses that park their cars outside, and it kind of looks like they're building a carport outside of the garage. Chances are a lot of the houses in that neighborhood, they are doing garage conversions. And there's some hidden opportunity there if you start looking into the potential of converting a garage into an extra bedroom.
Yep. So what would you tell, or what would you say to, before we wrap it up here a little bit, maybe, what would you say to the new investors out there that are just trying to get started?
I would say a couple of key things. I think it's, as with any business, it's preparation. You got to plan it, and you got to get a lot of education. So whenever you're in a situation, and here's the thing, maybe you don't need to learn everything out there, because a lot of times it's analysis paralysis. But you got to know where you can go to for resources. So listening to this podcast, joining and following all the market leaders out there, and really soak in the knowledge is very important. And the other one is practice, Mitch. We were just talking about being able to pull the trigger really quickly. You got to do a lot of practice and build up your skill. So when you see a house and you're not sure if it's a deal, you do that analysis really quickly, and you can pull a trigger on the deal.
When I was first starting out, I told myself that I was going to do comps on 5 houses a day in different neighborhoods. So I'd go to one neighborhood, I'd find any kind of house that said for sale, and I'd just run the comps on it and see how it stuck out. See what happened, make sure that I was getting comfortable with the idea of establishing the true value. And by accident, I would come up and start doing comps on random houses and find out, like, this house is really underpriced. If I could just get them to come down a little from what they're asking, I've got a pretty decent spread here. And so my practice turned out to pay. I was just randomly going out picking houses for sale, trying to hone my skill on how to work comps and establish value. And lo and behold, I end up stumbling onto one that says, man, this one seems like it's underpriced. If I can just get them to come off a little bit, it'll be way under, and I can make some money here. And that's kind of how I got started in the wholesale thing. I think everybody starts wholesaling. That's not what I do today, but I think wholesaling should be a tool in everybody's pocket. Everybody's got to wholesale sometimes, especially the new guys or the broke guys, because wholesaling is how you get some money in your pocket, get some confidence, and maybe get a naysayer spouse to be quiet. We call it hush money. You go make a couple of deals and you put it in the bank, and your your spouse might maybe be nagging at you because she doesn't like this investor gambling thing. And then so you go put some money in the bank, and we call it hush money, because once you have about as much as she makes a year at her job, you can say, honey, I have your whole year's salary in the bank. Could you please hush now? Let me do my thing. All right, you guys, go to reinvestorsummit.com/Liang, Liang. Go there and tune into the deal of the day and start learning what a good deal is, or what a bad deal is for that matter, and don't make those mistakes. And I appreciate you being on the show. I look forward to maybe being on your show sometime. Think you can have me over there?
We want to invite you to our show, Mitch.
Well, we'll get that done as soon as we hang up here. This is Mitch Stephen with the Real Estate Investor Summit podcast. I want to thank everybody out there for stopping by to get you some Steve Liang and to get the opportunity to see a case study a day. That's really got to be a great education. I also want to remind you that this episode was brought to you by taxfreefuture.com. You will not believe what your financial advisors are not telling you. You've got to get into a tax-deferred or tax-free account and learn the power of investing tax-deferred or tax-free. It is unbelievable, and some of the case studies will just blow your mind. So like to thank that sponsor. And we're out of here, Steve. Thanks for being on.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.